the sun on my face. God, please keep my Bella safe while I'm so far away. Please keep an eye on little Jimmy. He can be such a little devil. Oh, pardon me, such a mischievous lad. Although you would know, wouldn't you? Because you made him. God, if you could see your way to talking to Mr. Chapman and getting me a raise in your wages, I'd be ever so grateful. Thank you, from Thomas Penfold Carter. Amen.
Carter! Carter! Get up, boy! So the sheep are gone! They're wolves!
We need you right now. Can't wait till morning.
Oh, all right, I'm coming. I'm just putting my boots on.
It's all right, Tommy. Just having a tease. Don't bother yourself. Sheep's all there.
You're still up? What you been doing?
I was just shutting my eyes, boys. We've got an early start, I'm told.
Why are you sleeping in the barn? Ain't we good enough to bed down with?
Mr. Chapman's seen some prowlers around last night, and I'm supposed to give a shout if I hear anything.
No, it's because you smell like a pig, mate.
I'll leave them be, Jed.
What's this then? The Holy Bible?
Holy Bible, Jed. Stories about God and that for people who can read, you know.
I heard about that. You read all that, Tommy. You believe it all?
Look, that's my own business, boys, and that's my own book. Wait.
Amen. Listen to this. Jesus said, "My sheep listen unto my voice. I know them, and they follow me. I give them eternal life, and they shall never perish. No one shall pluck them out of my hand."
I like the sound of that. I think we'll just stay in the bed tomorrow and let what's-his-name take care of the sheep, so no one plucks them out of your hand and they won't ever perish.
Where'd you learn to read, Tommy?
Well, Bella, my wife, she showed me some letters and numbers. She's got some learning, you see.
Can you write and all?
I can write an I and an O and a tick and a cross, and I know right from wrong.
But you can't read.
No, not really, but I'm trying.
So you've got a book, but you can't read. Well, that's all mighty funny. Just like I'm a horse, but you can't ride.
You've had your fun. Now get some sleep, or in the morning we'll all be good for nothing.
Who you calling good for nothing? We're not good enough to be in your company just because you can write.
Shut up, Amos. You struggle even making your cross.
Can you read, Isaac?
Yeah, just a bit.
Have you got books?
Yep, most of the learning books though. Nothing like your book there, your Bible. Now that's a real book.
Learning books, you say? Could I, have a look sometime?
Yeah, I'll find you a couple. Maybe we can learn a bit together.
Oh, la-di-da-di. Learn to read, are we? Next thing you know, we're eating out of separate troughs.
Calm down, Amos. Tommy's right. We all need our beauty sleep. Come on, let's go. Joke's over.
Yeah, let's make ourselves beautiful from the sheep. God knows cooking can give you a second look. Won't you stop a bit?
Oh, not a chance, not a chance. Say a prayer for me, Tommy.
Good night, boys. We'll see you at sunrise. Hello, God. Thank you for this new day and help me to spend it in fair toil for a fair wage. Amen. Oh, Mr. Chapman, sir.
Relax, Thomas. Sit for a moment. I'd like a word with you.
Oh, thank you, God. Is it about my wages, sir?
Your wages.
Well, yes, sir. I was just having a word with God, and then you appear like a miracle.
A miracle, am I? Do you feel you're not on a fair wage? Do you know a convict is not entitled to any wage at all? Here I am paying you £8 a year.
Sir, I know my wage is more than fair, but I'd like more work so I can save a little.
And what might you be saving for? You've got your bed and tucker all in, and enough for ale and tobacco. You've got a young lass somewhere, Thomas.
Oh, no, sir. I have a wife, a lad, and a little back in the old country that I'd like to bring to these shores, and the cost of the journey is more than I can ever afford, sir. And even though my wage is more than fair, I'd like more work.
Family, and where are they now?
Well, Bella, that's my wife, in the Guildford Union workhouse, and Jim, that's the lad in the orphanage. Because he's over 4 years now, and Bella can't have him in the workhouse with her. So I ain't seen the Lily because Bella had it while I was being transported.
And you were convicted for, I believe, sheep stealing?
Sir, we was hungry. I went onto some private land at Romney Marsh and I caught an old sheep.
That's what I heard. And did you catch this old sheep with your bare hands? No shotgun, no musket.
With me bare hands, sir, and the dog. And I butchered it, we had meat for a long time, and me fella spun the wool. Sir, I missed me family something real bad, and they even took my dog away.
Surely you knew families can travel on the ships with the convicts.
Yes, sir, but Bella was already 6 weeks into her term, and neither of us wanted the little one to come into this world aboard a convict ship. She might have gotten sick or worse.
Indeed. And is your little one a son or a daughter?
I don't rightly know, sir, but we prayed for a little girl and I trust in the Lord's fairness. We said we'd call her Annie after me mum. I wish I had a likeness drawn of her. I do remember me lad though, he was a living spit of himself, the poor little bugger.
Did you know, Thomas, that your wife and children can, maybe, travel here at the expense of the crown?
I certainly did not know that, sir, even though I'm still working out the rest of my sentence.
Indeed, yes. It's not a foregone conclusion, of course, but some time ago, legal procedures were gazetted.
You lost me, sir. I'm not understanding you.
Some rules were made. If a convict sentence is, say, 7 years, and you've served 4 of those 7 years...
Well, which I have, sir, I have.
Yes, and with good conduct which your employer can vouch for...
Well, I tried to do my best, sir.
Yes, let me continue.
Oh, begging your pardon, sir.
And if your marriage is strong and worthy, then we can apply to Mr. Huggins to approve your application.
Mr. Huggins.
The magistrate. Then if Mr. Huggins approves it, we can send it to the colonial government.
And you're saying this won't cost me nothing?
Not a penny, if all is approved. Now you'd better be about your work, those sheep won't depend on shear themselves.
Yes, sir, and I'm mighty grateful.
Oh, and one more thing, we'll need proof of your marriage. Does your wife hold the certificate?
For sure, but how can I get hold of it?
Well, write to her, man.
Oh, yes, sir, I'll do that tonight.
What concerns you, man? Can't you write?
Not real good, sir. I can write some letters and numbers, but I can't put them together to make any sense.
I see. Well, I can help you with that. Now, before you go, the other matter that I came to see you about.
Your wages.
No, something else completely different.
Oh, and here I am blethering to you about my own problems.
Now, I'd rather you didn't repeat what I'm about to say. Can I trust you?
You're on me life, sir.
Good. Sit down. So, now, as you know, do you? Our sheep are merino, which gives us a top quality wool.
The best, sir.
And Mr. Franklin, who owns the adjoining property, runs stock which are of a different breed from ours. Now, Mrs. Chapman and I...
Are you coming, Carter? You wait for the sun to rise so high we all get blisters. Well, begging your pardon, Mr. Chapman, sir. I didn't see you there.
It's all right, Amos. I'm just having a word with Thomas. He'll join you later. I'll see you don't spend the day a man down.
Yes, sir. Anything else I can help with?
No issue between myself and Mr. Carter.
Very well, sir.
Thank you, Amos.
What's going on? Tommy getting his beauty sleep.
He's coming later.
Ask the stable boy to help out this morning. I'm having a word with Mr. Carter.
He's in trouble now.
That devil won't help me now.
Bible, you idiot.
Now, as I was saying, Mr. Franklin owns a top quality ram, and Mrs. Chapman and I have a little project we're working on.
Is that Mr. Franklin at the top station?
Yes, are you familiar with him?
Not at all, sir. I've heard he has no time for us convict workers. Isaac told me how he fired his musket at a black man who come begging for food. That ain't nice, Mr. Chapman. We've all got to get along here together, and they was here first.
That man was probably going to steal, Tommy, and Mr. Franklin was merely protecting his property.
But Isaac said... Yes, Mr. Chapman.
Sir, Isaac sliced his hand on the shears, bleeding like a stuck pig he is, and was just gone for cooking bandages.
Where is he?
In the shearing shed, sir, covered in blood. There's blood all over the place, sir.
Jed, go back to the shed and bring Isaac here. Thomas, go to the shed with Amos and do what you can to clean up and get some of the shearing done between them.
Yes, sir.
Sir, it's real bad, sir. There's blood everywhere. Reckon he's maybe lost a finger or two.
Come down, Jed, just bring him
He
here.
could have lost a hand for that.
Jed, just bring him here.
Where's Thomas Carter? Did you tell him?
Hold fast, my dear, we have an incident in the shearing shed. Isaac has apparently badly cut his hand on the shears. I've asked for him to report him here so we can assess the damage.
So you haven't spoken to him?
I was about to, but he has other things on his mind.
Other things? You promised me you'd tell him to get up there.
Yes, and I will.
Do you think it's right for me to live in this godforsaken place amongst colonials and thieves and convicts? This place is just not what I imagined it to be. You promised me so much more, Henry, and now our future lies in the hands of a convict, and you don't even have the strength of character to give a simple even have running water, just dry dust and heat and the constant bleating of those wretched sheep. Henry, I must return to England and I need the money that man will bring. You need to tell him now.
My dear, I know. Please be patient. I know you miss your family and the life we had, but there are opportunities here. We just need to work together. Would it help to speak to Adam Huggins and tell him how you feel?
Adam Huggins, the magistrate.
He's also a well-respected and highly trained physician. He trained in England at one of the best hospitals in London, so his qualifications are second to none.
In your opinion, do you think I'm going mad, Henry? Is that what you think?
Of course not, my dear, but I think you are a little depressed and not feeling yourself. Perhaps you could prescribe a tonic to lift your spirits.
A tonic? Oh, you really don't understand, do you? You think a tonic and powders can help me? And what if he wants to put me into the colonial hospital? Would you let him?
Of course not. I would never see you in that place.
Well, what if he makes me? Oh, Henry, have you heard about that place? It's an asylum for lunatics. Dysentery, venereal disease, scurvy, oh my God.
No, my dear, that is not so. People of our standing attend St Vincent's Hospital in Sydney itself. That establishment is gaining an excellent reputation amongst free settlers such as we are. Huggins speaks very highly of it.
Huggins this, Huggins that. I don't give a fig about the man. Why don't you just honour your promise to me and tell Carter what he has to do so that I can at least have the resources to get out of this place?
Richard, my dear, you must calm down. If your disposition doesn't improve, I will have no choice but to call on Huggins for help. For your sake, my dear.
For my sake? My disposition, as you so put it, will only improve when I'm on the boat back to England. Back to my country where they have laws to protect people. And gentle folk with ideals and compassion. If you involve that man Huggins in our affairs, I will never forgive you. Never. And what will you tell Mary? That her mother's a lunatic. Well, I'll tell her that you and Mr. Huggins did this against my will. Against my will.
Well, then we must hope for some improvement soon. You have to understand, I must consider my workers, Bridget. I am responsible for them. Do you realise we are asking Carter to risk his life for us?
He's a convict, Henry, and lucky to be given a second chance. I'm your wife. Where your loyalties lie.
We all deserve a second chance if we make a mistake. Unless you're like old Franklin, who'd rather pay for free men than support the convict settlement scheme. Do you notice that all of his men are free settlers?
And do you notice that he doesn't have a wife to consider? Are you too feeble to even ask that man for a loan of the ram for a season?
You know I've asked him enough times and offered him a good price for the service, but no, he's...
Oh, he's such an insufferable man.
Yes, and intolerant. He would surely have no compassion for someone entering his land to steal.
Then Carter had better make sure he doesn't get caught. He was obviously blundering when he committed the crime that brought him here. What did he steal?
An old sheep to provide a bit of meat for his family.
Well, there you have it then. Stealing, borrowing, that ram will be second nature to him. He's a natural-born thief.
A shepherd's wage in old England is barely enough for a single man, let alone a man with a family. But he was caught, tried with no defence, and transported to serve his 7 years under our government. And you know we're glad of the convict labour. Good solid workers, most of them. Geez, you forget they had families of their own before they came here, lives and history. They're not all bad men, Bridget. Carter was just telling me about his wife and 2 children left behind in the mother country. A child he's never seen, and one in the orphanage.
Do I give a fig? On the other hand, perhaps we can help Carter in some way. Then he'd be more than happy to do this for us.
Perhaps, yes. I've told him I'll support his application to bring his family here under the family reunion scheme, and to help him to write to his wife to send proof of their marriage, now I find them to be illiterate. Or maybe you can help him with that task.
A favour for a favour. Or perhaps he could take lessons with Mary for a few hours each day. Probably time better spent than on his knees with that wretched Bible.
Richard, we must honour a man's beliefs. He is free to pray and use his Bible at will.
I wonder what our daughter will think about having her lessons alongside a convict.
She'll do as she's told, and it will do her good. That girl needs to be brought to heel at times, and he would make a very willing student, I think.
And more than willing to repay us with a little ram borrowing. Henry, we need the money that this ram will bring, otherwise our future together is rather bleak.
We'll see.
No, Henry, not we'll see. Just do it for goodness sake.
Yes, sir. Morning, ma'am. Cook has to stitch him up, but she says he'll be fine and get back to work when he likes.
Thank you, Jed. Perhaps you could go over to the kitchen and help get lunch ready for the shearers. Cook's obviously got her hands full this morning, and I need to have a word with Isaac.
I'll just go back to the house and bring back some of Mary's cake.
So, Isaac, what happened here? I need to make a report when accidents occur at the shearing shed.
Oh, sir, it wasn't anything like Jed tells. One of the sheep bucked a little. She had slipped and I cut my finger, just the tip. Don't take me off the job, sir. I wasn't careless or anything. I'm all right, really. I just want to get back to work.
Sure.
Don't take me from the shearing, sir. I need to work my time out.
That's a nasty wound you've got there. Cook's done a good job, but I think you should take the rest of the day away from the shed. The other three can carry on today. There might be some light yard duties for you.
Sir.
Actually, Isaac, there is something for you. Is your horse in the home paddock?
Sir, she is.
Good. Then I'd like you to ride over to Mr. Huggins' property with this note and wait while he gives you some paperwork for you.
The magistrate.
Yes, does that not sit well with you?
But, sir, that's way south. I may be a few hours.
Then ask Cook for some tucker and drink to take with you. Go now, so you'll be back before dark.
Isaac, how's your injury? Not too serious, I hope. Are you careless?
Oh, no, miss. Just a scratch. It's nothing at all.
I'm sending Isaac with a note to the magistrate to collect some papers. Go now and bring me the papers as soon as you return.
The papers, are those the ones for Thomas's family?
Yes, we need to get this process started. I've put Isaac on light duties while his injury heals.
Was Isaac careless? We can't afford for the shearers to get injured and not work for their king. Cook said it's cut right through to the bone.
Not careless, more distracted, I think. The men are overworked and I've applied for more help.
More convicts? Well, that'll certainly make Mr. Franklin not so happy having more convicts as neighbours.
He's welcome to his opinions. A free settler as he is, with ready-made wealth, has no need of them, but I value the labour. I find his intolerance baffling. This is delicious cake, Mary, but not good for my spreading waistline.
Mother says I must have lessons in front of the shearers. But I don't want to. They smell horrid.
He'll wash before he joins us.
But Mother!
No buts, Mary. That's the way it's going to be.
He's old. Why can't he read and write already? He should have taken his lessons when he was my age.
Mary, no more of that.
Is he a convict? What did he do?
Enough. That's none of your concern. You will be taking lessons with Mr. Carter this afternoon and you will mind your manners. I have 2 new lead pencils from America that you can use and an India rubber that you can share.
Share?
Yes, Mary, share. At 3 shillings apiece, you'll have to. Although Mr. Carter may not have need of it if he makes no mistakes, then you can keep it all to yourself. Now, go outside and play until lunch. King needs some exercise. You can throw him a stick.
I'm going back to the house now. If you should see Isaac before I do, please send him to me with the papers at once. We need to get this process started as soon as possible.
Superstitious nonsense.
Mother should be here soon.
Yes, Miss Mary. I'm ever so grateful for the chance to be taught some reading and writing. I know it must be hard for you to sit alongside someone like me.
It's just I've never spent time with someone like you.
It's all right, miss. I understand. Mrs. Chapman, she were keen for me to have some learning. I ain't gonna hurt you, miss.
I know.
What are you writing?
My alphabet.
What's an alphabet?
It's all the letters that we use to make up words. And we learn them in a special order. A, B, C. And there are 26 letters to learn.
And how many do you know?
Well, I know them all.
All of them. It's gonna be a long time before I catch up with you, I'm thinking.
I'd like to know why you don't already know how to read and write, Mr. Carter.
Well, Miss Mary, I've been working since I was a young lad, and I've had no chance at educating myself.
Myself.
See, that's what I mean, miss. I don't know how to say things right.
Well, can you even spell your name?
To tell the truth, I know my name when I see it, but it don't look good when I do it myself.
Come, I'll show you. First, you've got to draw a line down, and then a line straight across the top. And that's a T, that's your first letter. You try. Mother said we might have some pencils to use today, so we can write on some paper.
Oh my word, what a lucky man I am. Now let me try this letter T.
Do you have any family, Mr. Carter?
That I do, Miss Mary. I have a lad who might be a couple of years younger than yourself, and a little girl, I think.
Think? Why don't you know?
Because I never seen her, because my wife had her after I left to come here.
Well, if you've never met her, why do you think she's a girl?
Well, because that's what we asked for.
You asked. Who did you ask? Mother says we have no choice in these matters.
I said a prayer to the Lord, miss, and so far he's never let me down.
The Lord. The Lord's light shines only on the righteous, never on sinners.
I regret what I done, Miss Mary, and I've took me punishment. Look at me here without me wife and little uns. I like to think the Lord has forgiven me.
Good heavens, Mr. Carter, what are you doing sitting at the same desk as Mary? That stool is there for you.
Mother, he cannot learn to write without a desk to lean on. Look, I've already shown him a T.
Well, if you're content to sit alongside a convict, so be it. You can sit there, Mr. Carter, but just spread a little apart. Now, where to begin? I think that Mr. Carter needs to know how to write his name in full so that he can sign any documents when necessary.
I wonder if you'd both call me by my first name. That's Thomas.
Well, Mary can call you what she likes, but as your teacher and the wife of your employer, I think it far more appropriate that I address you as Mr. Carter. I have found that too much familiarity with colonials and convicts only leads to misunderstandings.
I'll call you Thomas. May I, Mother?
If you please, as long as Mr. Carter remembers his station and place when not in the schoolroom.
Yes, Mrs. Chapman. I'm sorry I mentioned it. Good evening, Mr. Chapman, sir. You wanted to see me?
Ah, yes, Thomas, and how was your lesson with the business chap?
Oh, very good, sir. And this book that Isaac gave me is a great help. So with your lady wife's teaching as well, I'll be a clever man in no time. And your Mary, what a smart young lady she is. I hope your little girl has her nature.
Good, good. Now, what do you think this form is all about? Can you read it?
Not real good, sir. We only just done some letters and numbers.
Well, try.
Application for convict
Family reunion scheme.
family reunion scheme. Oh, Mr. Chapman, is this the form I need to bring my belly here?
Indeed it is. Isaac brought it back yesterday afternoon. Now, I filled in my part, so you just have to make your cross here and then I'll witness the signing.
I can write my name now, so I don't need to make a cross no more.
Excellent. Now, I'll just sign here to say I watched you sign, and that makes me a witness.
It's Mrs. Chapman that learnt me, sir. She taught me to write Bella, Jimmy and Annie. Some other words too, so I can nearly write down a sentence.
Good, good.
And Mrs. Chapman, she helped me write that letter to Bella about our marriage certificate. We can send that letter with this form.
Isaac will ride over to Parramatta in the morning. It needs to be there tomorrow so it can be on the boat to England at the first chance. Isaac's hand isn't properly healed, so he won't be back into the sheds yet.
Where is Isaac, sir? I'd like to thank him for all his toing and froing on my behalf.
He's sleeping right now, ready for the ride tomorrow. Don't disturb him. He was looking a little off colour.
I can't tell you how grateful I am, sir. You're like me, Bella. She's a good wife.
Well, maybe we can find her some work here on the station. Cook always needs an extra pair of hands. And your children, they can join Mary at her classes.
I'm that excited I could dance a jig.
Now, the matter we were talking about, before Isaac's accident interrupted us.
Me wages?
No, not your wages. Please sit down. Now, as I was saying before, the breed of sheep we have here are merino, which gives a very fine wool suitable for babies' garments and ladies' shawls. Mr. Franklin runs a different breed called Lincoln, and the breed from the sheep from that breed is much coarser and longer. Now, Mr. Bob Robinson, a sheep farmer in New Zealand, has developed a new breed by crossing the Lincoln with merino to develop an animal that gives much better wool, stronger and suitable for work clothing, and more importantly, top quality meat.
So you want Mr. Franklin to cross his ram with your sheep?
Yes, and I've written to Mr. Robinson asking for his advice.
Is he going to help you?
It seems so. He said we should hire Mr. Franklin's best Lincoln ram. It's a fine creature, magnificent in height, perfect for the job.
Yes?
So we've offered him a good price for the service of this ram, even offered him a share in the profits when the breed is successful. But the man is a stubborn old fool and won't agree.
Perhaps you should have another talk to Mr. Franklin, sir. Is that what you're wanting me to do? Ride over to his land and take him an invitation to meet up with you? Perhaps invite him to supper if Cook's willing.
All good ideas, and I've tried them all, but all my efforts fall on deaf ears.
So how can I help, sir?
Well, someone needs to go onto Franklin's property and borrow that ram. It's just a loan, Thomas, because it will be returned the next day. A ram can service 3 or 4 ewes a day, and that should make a good start for us.
Without Mr. Franklin knowing. Is this dishonest, sir?
Well, I'm not going to say it's entirely honest, but can you see any harm in this borrowing?
Well, no, but... Oh, is it me you're wanting to go onto Mr. Franklin's land to get that animal, sir? I don't know about that, Mr. Chapman. You know I was transported here for sheep stealing in the first place. I've got my ticket of leave now, and my Bella's on her way, and I don't want her arriving to find me hanging at the end of a rope.
This is not something I can force you to do, but I'm asking you to think about it. Don't give me your answer yet.
Sir, I've thought and I can't do it. I've got my ticket of leave and I want to be a free man.
Would it make any difference if I said I would stand by you and say the idea was all mine? Say I ordered you if you were caught.
I'm not sure it would make a difference, sir, especially if I had the ram with me and everything.
Of course it would, man. I'm close friends with Mr. Adams. How do you think I got your application to bring your family here completed so quickly? He did you a special favour at my request.
Sir, thank you. It's my name.
Oh, Bridget. I was just talking to Thomas here about our idea regarding the ram. He's going to think about it.
Man, sir, please don't ask me. Or one of the others might do it. Jed is great with sheep. I've seen him flip them over with just a flick of his arm.
That's very disappointing, Thomas. Mr. Chapman and I have been thinking of you as one of the family, and we were hoping that you would feel the same, hadn't we?
Mrs. Chapman, I'm only thinking of my Bella. What if she arrives and I'm locked up again? After all you and Mr. Chapman have done for me, I want to say yes, but I'm real worried.
Just sleep on it, Thomas. We're not in a hurry for any final decisions.
I'm sorry, man, that has to be my final decision. Now, I understand that tomorrow you want me gone from here. There's no hard feelings, and I'll say nothing about it.
Well, of course, we don't want to lose you, Thomas, and we understand your hesitation. But please just bear in mind that there would be some monetary gain for you once this season is successful. That would only be fair, Henry.
Of course.
Sir, that's right, tempting. I'm ever so grateful for the chance, but I'm still saying no. If you want in the morning, I'll be on my way.
To where?
I don't rightly know, man, but anywhere's better than the road.
I respect your decision, Thomas, but it's frustrating to think that we could all gain from this venture. Us, you, even Mr. Franklin, if only it could be made to happen. But I recognise the risk is too great for you, and I'll say nothing more about it. There's no question of your leaving. There'll be extra work for you while Isaac is unwell, so maybe we'll talk about your wages soon. Good night to you, Thomas, and sleep well.
Good night, sir, and I'm really, really sorry not to help you. I appreciate what you're doing for me and Bella, but I've got my ticket of leave and I want to be a free man, and I'm almost there.
You're a good man, Thomas, and your future is bright.
You're so easy going with the men, Henry. You're never going to get the respect that you deserve if you can't issue a simple order and expect it to be carried out. But I'm sure that he will change his mind after a good night's sleep.
No, Bridget, I've told him we don't expect it of him. Perhaps I should ask Amos instead.
Amos? That man can't be trusted. No, Thomas is our man. Just leave it with me.
Absolutely not, Bridget. I've told Thomas we're not doing it. So that's the end of it.
But Henry, if I could just...
No, Bridget. I would have no way of supporting him if he was caught, as I told him I would. This would reflect badly on me and you to be implicated in this theft.
Borrowing, Henry, borrowing. And if I could just...
No, Bridget. We'll say nothing more about it. We'll go back to the house now and forget all about it. It's finished.
Hello, God. It's me again. I'm sorry to keep bothering you like this, but I've run into a bit of trouble. If you could just see your way to letting Mr. Franklin lend his ram to Mr. Chapman for just a couple of days, then everyone would be happy. And God, if you do that, don't worry about me wages. Keep my Bella and the Lilians safe. Thank you. Amen.
Morning, Tommy. Wake up, mate. Lots of work to be done this morning. Cook's got breakfast on the go. You better get moving or you miss out.
Morning, Amos. Praise the Lord. Another fine morning. With you right away. Now, where's my book gone?
Got to do your morning talk at the Almighty, have you? Say one for me while you're down there.
Have you seen me book, boys? You know me Bible.
The one you can't read.
Have you hit it?
Of course not. What do you take me for? What would I want for anyway?
It'll turn up. I'll be with you right away. Hello, God. I'm sorry I have to be quick this morning. Thanks for the safe night, and could you please tell me where my Bible is? I'll talk later tonight. Amen.
Good morning, Thomas. I hope that I find you here. I bought you a book that I thought you might like to... it's a reading book that I thought you might like. Just have a seat, Thomas. I have something to tell you. Something that I've heard from a very close contact of mine in England.
They found me Bella already, but Isaac don't post a form till today. How can that be?
No, it's not about the letter, Thomas, but it is about your wife.
Is she well?
I don't know how to tell you this. The news is not good.
The Lilians?
No, not the children. Where do I start?
It must be terrible news, Mrs. Chapman. You're all shaking.
Just please sit for a moment, Thomas. I have a very reliable friend in England who is the wife of a judge, and she sends me news on the transportations, keeps me up to date, so to speak.
That's me name there, and that's me Bella. What's this about?
I don't think your readings, your writing and reading has improved enough yet, Thomas. This wife of the judge has access to the convict's records, and many months ago I wrote to her and asked for information on the convicts that were working at our station here, about their family, not just their wives, but their parents and their siblings, and news of the homeland.
That's kind of you, ma'am, but please, what news of Bella?
I'll get to the point. When you and Bella were married, do you remember the person who performed the ceremony?
His wife ran the orphanage where little Jimmy is now. He was a good churchman, had the right to do marriages and stuff.
Well, it turns out that he actually wasn't a man of the church, and certainly not authorised to perform weddings. But so basically, your marriage is not legal.
What? Bloody crook? Oh, sorry, ma'am, sorry. But we paid him to do the job. See, Bella was already 6 weeks gone, and some in the church wouldn't even look at us. Oh, that mongrel, just let me get my hands on him, I'll kill him.
Well, the fact still remains, Thomas, that you and many others are not legally married.
Poor Bella. We'll do it as soon as she's back here. We'll go and see Mr. Uggins. He'll do it, won't he, being a magistrate and all. My children won't be bastards.
There's more to tell you, Thomas.
Still not good news.
No, not good. It appears that when Bella found out that you weren't legally married and that the children were therefore illegitimate...
But what?
Bastards, Thomas, bastards. Well, learned about her situation and they gossiped and it spread very quickly, and Bella was so ashamed that she left the workhouse and took the younger one to the orphanage to be with the son, James.
James? Oh, you mean my Jimmy?
Yes, Jimmy. Anyway, Bella was living on the streets, earning money here and there, any way that she could.
No, I know what you're saying, Mrs. Chapman. Please don't say it. Where is she? Just tell me she's all right.
Oh, yes, Thomas. She's all right, and the children are now out of the orphanage and being well cared for.
Who by? Her sister? They never got on. A friend?
This is how the story was written to me. Bella was living on the streets and begging and sleeping under a bridge when a gentleman put a rather large sum in her hand, and she was so grateful that she thanked him in the only way that she knew how. The next night he returned with the offer of a meal at the local alehouse, but it was more than food and drink on offer. He then asked her to be his housekeeper and allowed her to bring the children with her.
So she got a job. She got Lillian's back with her. Where is this place? Is it a fancy place? Is she getting good wages?
Well, she's not getting wages as such, Thomas. She has a home for her and her children.
Our children?
Plenty to eat and education and clothing and well, companionship.
So is she, living in sin? Did she give any thought to me working out my sentence here, thinking only of her day after day?
Thomas, she found out that she wasn't legally married and she had 2 young children to care for and to feed and educate. She hadn't heard anything from you for over 4 years.
She knows I can't write.
People judge women in her situation. No husband, no money, no job, no hope. And she had 2 dependent children. I'm sure she would have been more than glad of the permanence. Just look at it from her point of view. I'm sure that the decision wouldn't have been easy, but understandable.
I'll get her out of there as soon as the papers are back here. He's got no right to take her from me.
Well, Thomas, he actually has every right, for she is a decent woman again. For they have married and the children have a father.
I'm their father! I'm their father! Oh, Mrs. Chapman, please help me.
I'm so sorry, Thomas. So very sorry.
It's alright, Mrs. Chapman. I'm just getting about my work and the boys will be in here looking for me soon, and I don't want them to see me bleated.
I'm sure things will work out for the best, Thomas.
Yes, Mum. How could you let that happen, God? I asked you every day to take care of Bella and the Lilians. What have I got to live for now? I've made up my mind and I'm going to get that ram for Mr. Chapman, because I don't care what happens to me now. And I can see the moon is bright and I believe you're giving me a sign. Yes, I hear you, God. Thou shalt not steal. Well, living by your commandments haven't been working too well for me. All that I ask is that when I go out tonight, you keep the moon bright, so as I can see what I'm doing. If that's not too much to ask. Amen.
Come on! Surely you should be gone by now. We've got work to do.
Alright, I've finished with him. I'm on my way, boys.
found Tommy's Bible. Can you hear me? Are you there? Look, I think I'll be seeing you real soon. So, I want you to understand something. I don't want Thomas Carter to die. So, I got a little story ready to tell Mr. Huggins. It's not quite true, though. And it's my dying words. They got to believe me. Don't they? I'm not really a liar. So, I hope you'll forgive me. It's Isaac Jackman, by the way. Thank you. Goodbye.
Swallowing outside, my friend. You have got the best place here.
Well, we're cramped up in the quarters with the new shearers.
How you feeling? Sleeping? It's probably the best thing for him.
There's bad stink round here. It's got changed up bandage today.
No?
Well, she hasn't. Someone's got to. Look at all them flies. That ain't smelling too good to me. That smells like rot to me. That arm one's taken off.
You fool. Since when was you a surgeon? Cook knows what she's doing.
Just saying, that's all.
Don't need you just saying. He's sick enough with that you just saying.
So you reckon Tommy will swing?
Reckon so. There's no second chance Russell up. Bloody fool of a man. Why did he go stealing again? He was on his ticket of leave to being a free man.
Yes, that's what everybody's saying. I heard your eyes bug, your neck cracks, and your tongue hangs out. Why would you want that?
Hold your tongue, man.
Morning, man. How are you, Isaac?
He's sleeping, sir.
But he don't look too good for sure, if you ask me.
Well, we ain't. Served date for the trial. Is there any news of Tommy?
No date fixed yet, but I'm running over to Parramatta to see him at the jail today to see what I can do for him.
Will we go to the drop, sir?
I hate to say so, but it's likely.
Why have you done such a thing, Mr. Chapman? Why have you taken that risk? If you talk about his family coming over, why have you taken the chance?
I can't imagine. Get back to your work now. You've got new hands to help you and they'll need you guiding.
Sir, I'll get back to see Isaac again in dusk. We'll miss you, Isaac.
Sir, a moment, please.
Isaac, how are you feeling?
Fare too ill, sir. Sir, is it true that Tommy will hang for stealing that ram?
It's likely, Isaac. Dreadful situation. But how are you? Is there anything you need?
Yes, sir. I need to speak with Mr. Huggins.
The magistrate.
I've got something I need to tell him.
Well, can't you tell me? Mr. Huggins is a very busy man, Isaac.
I need to see him right away. It's my dying wish.
Dying? Who's told you that?
No one need tell me, sir. Last night, in the dark, I saw my brother, who died fighting the Yanks, and my mother, who got the cholera. They were waiting for me, Mr. Chapman. I can smell death. I know it's my turn.
Very well, I'll see Mr. Huggins on my way to Parramatta.
And I found Tommy's book, his Bible, under his bed. He was fretting about it, and I know he'll be wanting it right now.
I'll see he gets it.
Until I got my fingers crossed for him. Well, these ones anyway.
I'll tell him. Do you feel the need for a church?
No, sir. I've seen Tommy talk to his God every night. His time's nearly up when he'll be a free man. Free to start over with his wife and family. And I can't help wondering why. Why would God let him do this? And then let him get caught? No. I had my little chat with God. And I've told him I'm coming, so I've no need of judgment. Just the magistrate.
Very well. Hopefully Mr. Huggins will be here by morning. Get your rest, man. Mr. Carter, Thomas, I came as soon as I could. My God, man, what happened?
What kind of question is that, Mr. Chapman? What do you think happened?
Are you getting regular bread? Is that chain too tight?
My welfare needn't trouble you, sir. I'll take what's coming. You said you'd stand by me, so what am I doing here in this cell?
I need to know what happened that night or I can't help you. Tell me from the start.
Well, sir, after our conversation, I had a bit of a think, and because you've been good to me and I saw the moon was bright, I thought it were a sign. But stupid, wasn't I? Because Mr. Franklin could see what I was doing and all.
Yes, of course.
So I picks me way over the pastures, and big old sheep eyes following me, and I comes to a shed. It's all locked and bolted, so I knows it's the right one. Them locks are no bother to me, sir.
Really?
I've learned from living with convicts, sir. So I slips myself inside and comes face to face with the most beautiful animal I've ever seen. Big old eyes, sort of sad, begging me to take him out, you know.
Dear God, what next?
I get a rope round his neck and I'm almost off, and suddenly a big light shines in my eyes and Mr. Franklin's yelling out and cursing like I've never heard before. And he throws me to the ground and kicks his boot real hard in my back. Have a look. And then I'm taken outside, tied to a post like a dog, until the troopers came in the morning to take me away. And that's the truth, as God knows it.
Mr. Jackman? How are you? Mr. Chapman said that you wanted to see me.
Mr. Huggins. Not feeling so good. But grateful for your time, sir. I got something I need to tell you as a man of the law.
And what's it about?
It's about Thomas Carter.
The man in the cell?
He didn't do it.
He was caught red-handed.
No, sir. He was caught on the property.
With a ram in his possession. That's evidence enough.
No, sir.
He had a rope on the animal.
Yes, sir. But he wasn't taking it.
No.
He was returning it.
Returning it.
Yes, sir. I stole the ram on the night of the full moon.
What are you saying?
As a dying man, I want to tell you and sign that the thief was me.
Who said you were dying? Tell me, who's looking after your injury?
Cook's been giving me excellent care.
Cook? That's most likely gangrene. Haven't you seen a doctor?
I'm past seeing a doctor. Haven't I seen death enough times to know? I want to make a confession so that I can leave this earth with a clear conscience.
You know this will blacken your name.
That don't matter to me. The thief was me, Mr. Huggins. Now, let me sign where I have to. Tommy can't pay for my crimes.
I need to know more, Mr. Jackman, before I'll witness your signature. Tell me more.
Before I tell you the whole story, will you confirm to me that dying man's confession holds good in a court of law?
Yes, it does.
Well, it's like this. After I delivered Thomas's letter to Parramatta. I was riding back along the track with my horse went lame. Split a hoof on a rock, baby. It was hot, and I was walking and nursing my very sore arm. So I took a rest by a billabong. Well, I must have taken 40 wings because I was walking by a traveller who said he'd been working for Mr. Jeffrey Franklin on the property next to Mr. Chapman's. Are you following me, Mr. Huggins?
No, I'm listening.
Good. So this traveller,
His name?
oh, what was his name? Harold? I'm not sure.
No, of course not. Carry on.
So this traveller Horace, he...
Harold?
Yes, Harold. He'd been cannon in the goldfields, and he had some nuggets in his pocket, and he's as sure as it can be that Mr. Franklin stole some of his gold while he, that is, Harold, Horace, no, Harold was sleeping.
This traveller was carrying gold in his pockets?
So he said. Then he said that he'd pay Mr. Franklin back by pilfering his best ram. And that would put Mr. Franklin in a rat nest now, wouldn't it? Then he said they'd pay me 5 shillings if I helped him to do it.
With your arm as bad as it is?
For 5 shillings? Yes, sir. I stole the ram and brought it into Mr. Chapman's yard so that Horace could collect it later that night.
Mr. Jackman, this is getting to be a very fanciful story.
You think I'm lying? I'm telling you that's what happened. Please keep writing. Then Thomas Carter, he saw me with the ram and said I was a dishonest man, that he would save my soul by returning it that night, and no one would know. But he got caught, and the truth is, they took him away.
What made you do it, Thomas? You were firm in your decision not to take the ram, and Mrs. Chapman and I both respected that.
Because my Bella ain't coming. Because we were never legal together. So my Lillans ain't my Lillans anymore.
Not coming? Why would you think that? We've only recently dispatched the application.
With respect, Mr. Chapman, I think you know.
No, man, I know nothing of this. What do you say?
Your lady wife, sir, she told me my Bella ain't coming because we were never legal together.
Where would Mrs. Chapman get such information?
Her friend, sir, the Beak's wife, gives her all the gossip from the old country. She showed me a letter, but I couldn't read it.
Thomas, there's no possibility that Mrs. Chapman would have such information, and certainly not without my knowledge. All letters from England to this station are read personally by me. No such information has been received.
What are you saying?
I'm saying that I would have known about any such letter, and anyway, such information is privileged. Even a judge's wife wouldn't have access to it.
Are you saying that what your wife said ain't true? Did she lie to me knowing I'd go for that ram and I wouldn't care anymore?
Mrs. Chapman might have made a mistake.
A mistake? You call that a mistake? No, she's a wicked woman, your wife, and she better be thinking of what to say on her judgment day.
Everything all right in there?
We have no problem here, J-Lo. Thomas, remember your place.
My place. Is this my place? Look at me here. I may not have always been honest, but that's a terrible way to treat a man. She saw me as a trusted fool.
She's not a well woman, Thomas.
But to tell me my family ain't my family anymore, she better think of what to say on her judgment day, sir.
What can I say? On my life, I did not expect you to go onto Franklin's property without first telling me your decision. I was content to accept your refusal and thought that an end to it.
Well, it seemed like it weren't the end of it for Mrs. Chapman, don't it? And Isaac made that long journey with his hurt arm for me, all for nothing. How is he?
He's extremely sick with a poor prognosis. He's not long for this life. His wound is badly infected. The poison is in his blood, in his whole body.
But that's terrible. He should have been in his bed.
Well, he's in your bed now, Thomas, to keep him away from the noise and chatter in the sheds. Someone's always nearby, so he won't pass alone. Oh, and that reminds me. He asked me to give you your Bible. It was under your bed.
Thank you, sir. I'm real glad of it now. Oh, Mr. Chapman, this is a letter Mrs. Chapman showed me. Read it, sir, and you'll see what she says.
This is Mrs. Chapman's handwriting. It's all nonsense, as she knew you couldn't read it. Bridget, what have you done? Can I take this letter?
It's of no use to me.
I'm so sorry. Oh, and Isaac says he's got his fingers crossed for you.
He's a good friend, sir. I'll put him in my prayers.
I'll tell him. Stay with your faith, Thomas.
I'm not on good terms with God right now, sir, especially since I thought he gave Bella to that rich bloke. So I've got some apologising to do.
You don't deserve this. I'll do everything in my power to help you, but...
Sir, when will I know the trial date? And when's the hanging after that? I've got to have some long talks with God so he knows what's in my heart and he has a place ready for me.
I'll be speaking with Mr. Huggins.
And I'll be speaking with God.
Rise up, Mr. Chapman. Not to lock up now.
You really expect me to believe all that?
That doesn't matter, Mr. Huggins. It's my dying confession, and you have to write it, and let me sign it with you as my witness. Mr. Huggins, it's important that this is done before the trial. Tommy can't be done for the fact his family is coming, and I'm dying.
I have to do as you say, Mr. Jackman, but my mind is not easy. Should you survive, we have a confession here which could hang you.
That won't happen. And I want to sign that paper.
Very well. Sign here on that line. And I'll sign here. There, that's done.
My thanks, Mr. Huggins. The weight is off me. Confession is good for the soul.
You're a brave man, Isaac Jackman. I'll not leave you until Chapman returns. I hope that the new life you're giving to Tommy Carter brings peace for yourself and is a just reward for your bravery.
It's more than just. Now, let me sleep. It's been a heavy day for me.
Hello, God. It's me again. I've got my book back tonight, so I'm hoping you'll hear me better. I'm sorry for doubting you, God. I should have known that you wouldn't let me down. Were you just testing me when you made Mrs. Chapman tell me all those lies? I'm sorry for taking that ram, God. I knew I was stealing, but I was so angry. If Bella gets here and it's all too late for me, give her a good life. Give her the life I wanted for us. Could you stay with me tonight, God? I want to be strong. I want to be strong, but I'm so scared. Thank you, God. Amen.
Adam, my friend, thank you for waiting until my return. I had such a trying time at the jail with Thomas Carter.
Let's sit a while. I have some news for you. Your man Isaac Jackman has signed a paper here to state that he was the thief who stole the ram from Franklin's property, made up some fanciful story to take the blame off Carter's shoulders. Complete nonsense, of course, but he thinks he's dying and it's his way of helping a friend.
Of course it was Thomas. He told me all about that night. Adam, there's something I need to discuss with you. I need your advice.
You know why you would steal it? Henry, what do you know? Is there something you're not telling me? I must know if I'm to be involved.
Adam, I must protect my wife. She's unwell and refuses to take her medication. She told Thomas Carter a deliberate lie that caused him to care nothing of his future. He will never forgive her. Indeed, why should he?
And it was this lie that prompted him to steal a ram?
She told him that his wife was not coming to Australia to be with her, that she'd received a letter from a friend in England. In some misguided way, she thought she was helping me. She's desperate to return to the mother country, but we don't have the resources to pay for such a journey, and won't permit it here. She's becoming unreasonable, losing her mind.
Go on.
So, we had an idea. Briefly, there's a sheep farmer in New Zealand who's crossing Lincolns with merinos to develop a new breed of sheep.
Oh, Bob Robinson. I know him and his breeding program. He's a very wealthy man.
Yes, I know, and I'm fully aware of the potential. So we wrote to Mr. Robinson asking for his assistance and advice to develop the breed in Australia. So we approached Mr. Franklin to ask for the use of his Lincoln ram, offered him a good price and a share in our future success. But the man was adamant in his refusal.
Frustrating, but he
Yes,
survived.
but Bridget had become obsessed with the idea. She was determined that it would be done by fair means or foul. So I asked Carter to borrow the ram one night, but he was reluctant.
You asked him to steal? A convict working out his term? Of course he was reluctant.
I'll regret that request until the day I die. Carter understandably refused, and I decided not to pursue the idea. Indeed, I made a promise to him that nothing more would be said on the subject, and we shook hands on it. I told Bridget she was not to mention it again, and I thought it was all over. But it appears I was wrong. She then told Carter that terrible lie.
Is there any more that I should know?
Adam, if only we could turn back time. I'm worried about Bridget.
You must know that if your wife is told lies, which has landed young Thomas in this unfortunate situation, she could be implicated and could be accused of indirectly aiding and abetting. Young Carter will be entitled to defense at his hearing, and if the truth concerning Mrs. Chapman's lie is outlined, she will be in serious trouble and you will be implicated.
She's unwell, Adam. She's becoming unreasonable and irrational. I can't find any way to reason with her.
Does she appreciate the severity of her action?
I don't think she can appreciate anything. She's wild with grief and homesickness.
If a doctor will verify that she's indeed losing her mind, we can plead insanity if a charge arises, but she must agree to see a doctor of the mind.
She will never agree to that.
This is a matter over which she has no control. In my humble opinion, it would benefit everyone, including your wife, if she were taken to the asylum immediately. You can give your consent for her admission, or I have the jurisdiction and paperwork to commit her here and now. Can you bring her here?
Oh, dear Lord, I don't like what's happening here. Of course, I'll get her myself. Hang on, sir. How are the men managing to work without my...
We're doing just fine, sir. Let them rest. Morning, Mr. Huggins. So, I saw you was back from seeing Tommy. Is there a date for the trial?
No, not yet, Amos. Have you seen Mrs. Chapman today? Do you know where she is?
So, I saw her with Cook just before.
Good. Go back to the kitchen and ask her to come here to me.
So we was just wondering, Jed and me, if there was a date for the trial.
Later, Amos. I'll talk to you both later.
And how's Isaac?
He's not well, as you know, but we're getting him the best care. Now, please hurry and fetch Mrs. Chapman.
Right away, sir.
Now, tell me a bit about this institution, this asylum that you're recommending for Bridget. Despite everything, I am concerned for her welfare.
Of course you are. Fortunately, the construction of a new asylum on the banks of the Parramatta River is almost complete. Are you familiar with an area known as Bladesville?
I've only heard unsavoury reports.
it's all changed now, of course, and Mrs. Chapman would be with the convicts and the murderers and prostitutes as previously was the case.
You said almost.
Yeah, almost, but in the meantime, patients like Mrs. Chapman are being housed in a separate wing in the female factory, well away from the women that I mentioned. She will receive excellent medical attention, and her future will be assessed by specialized physicians.
You sent Amos for me, and I expected to take instructions from convict workers now. Mr. Huggins, what are you doing here?
He was here to speak with Isaac, but it appears we have something more to discuss. Please sit.
I'm happy to stand. What is this discussion and how am I involved?
I've recently visited Thomas Carter in his miserable little cell, and he told me something that shocked me. I'll come straight to the point. Did you tell him that his wife and children were not coming to Australia, that they did not belong to him?
How ridiculous. Did he tell you that?
That's what he said.
And you believed him?
I'm asking you for the truth.
The truth. The truth. You and Mr. Huggins, you both stand there in judgment of me. Me, who's being dragged from my homeland to live in this horrible, disease-ridden place. Without even the basics of human civilization. I've done my best, Henry. That round was out, well, at least my only way out.
I know you miss the old country, but this is not the way. Your actions, your lies will cause a man for whom I am responsible to hang, thereby bringing me and you to the attention of the court.
Oh, phooey! How can I be blamed for the actions of a sheep-stealing convict? He's a thief and a liar. That's what brought him here in the first place. He's old enough to know right from wrong, and he knew exactly what he was doing. I have no care nor interest in his future.
It's not as simple as that. Mr. Carter could bring a charge against you which could lead to your conviction for fraudulent behavior.
I would encourage him to do that. He's an uneducated man. He can barely write his own name. He has no money. How can he afford a man of the law to guide him through that process?
I will be guiding you through that process, Mrs. Chapman. I will not see injustice in this land where men are struggling to start a new life under terrible conditions, missing their families and their previous lives. There are opportunities for them here, and I will not stand and watch while men like Mr. Carter are taken advantage of.
You get out of our house! You call yourself a man of justice, and you side with a dirty little thief! How could you get out? Henry, make him leave!
But he's right, Bridget. You've made a terrible error, and Adam is here to do his best to get you out of jail.
Mary, get out of here, child. This is no place for you amongst these vile men. Do you know that they are trying to blame me for your friend Thomas's dishonesty?
Blame you?
Yes, that's what I said. Even your father is against me.
I don't understand.
Don't question me. Just do as I said. Get out of here now. Look what you've done to our daughter. How dare you? How dare you come here and make accusations and try to stir up trouble with my family?
As I was saying, Adam is here to help you stay out of court and eventually jail or worse. The only way is for a physician to diagnose that you are suffering from a malady of the mind and we're not in control of your actions. We must let Adam help you in this matter. But firstly, you must tell us the truth. Did you tell Thomas Carter that his wife and family did not belong to him, that they were not coming to Australia?
Why are you questioning me? I've told you no. No.
Calm down, Bridget. I know. You showed Thomas Carter a letter purporting to come from knowing his inability to read, to give credibility to your story.
Letter? He's a liar.
I have it here, Bridget, the letter purporting to come from England. Isaac found it at Thomas's bedside. Now you must tell us the truth.
Yes, I told him. And the gullible little fool believed me. Ignorant to the core, those convicts. And you treat them like their family. You're so weak. You were doing nothing for our future. I did it for us, Henry, for us.
Bridget, how could you do such a thing? You knew he would have nothing to live for without his family. You've endangered his life for your own benefit.
No, for our benefit, Henry, ours. You wanted this just as much as I did.
No.
You're every bit as responsible.
No, Bridget, you did this. The man would have been heartbroken. Do you realise you've likely sent him to the gallows for your own satisfaction?
Satisfaction? I'll not be satisfied
sentence for you, Mr. Chapman, would ensure that you never return to England.
Jail sentence? Are you out of your mind? I am a British subject, Mr. Huggins. They can't convict me.
I beg to differ. In fact, only last year, a Mrs. Florence Driscoll from Manchester in England was hanged at Sydney for theft. Hanged! Now, Mr. Chapman, will you agree to come with me with no argument to see a physician who can diagnose that you are not of sound mind when the offence occurred? It's our only option to save you from conviction and imprisonment.
Not a sound mind. Are you mad? Henry, get this man off our property, or are you in conspiracy with him to get rid of me?
But he's trying to help you, can't you see? And I'm only trying to do what I think is best for you. It would be best if you went peacefully with Mr. Huggins. I will come with you. Otherwise, Adam can order that you be taken for treatment under protest.
Treatment! Treatment! You're the one who needs treatment! I won't go to that place! You can't make me go! I'll rather be dead! I hate you, Henry Chapman, and all that you stand for in this horrible community of thieves and convicts and illiterates! We're finished!
Come, Bridget, it's over. I've made the decision for your own good. Don't let me see you like this.
Your turn.
What am I? Not to cross it.
Father, I just laid my cross there. Ha! I win again.
You're doing good for me. I think you have a winning formula.
I do. Thomas taught me how to. Thomas showed me how to never be beaten in knots across. And he showed me a few card tricks too. Shall I show you?
Later, Mary, I have visitors this morning. Shouldn't you be at your lessons?
It's not the same with Cook teaching me. I learn more about dough and pastry than I do about numbers and letters.
I have arranged for a governess to help you with your reading and writing. But in the meantime, cooking and baking are extremely useful attributes for women to know. A good cook is invaluable in any household. You'll always have employment, and eventually a satisfied husband.
Will Mother be home soon?
No, my dear, not soon. She's extremely sick in her mind, and her treatment will take many months.
How does she spend her days?
They have her working in the wash house a few hours a day. She can read a little if her mind is calm. They have her medicated most of the time so she can rest. She sleeps a great deal.
Can I visit her?
No, my dear, not yet. Maybe when she's stronger.
Well, will Thomas be home soon?
I don't know. Do you miss him?
A little. Yes, I do. Do you think we should pray like he does?
If you think it will help him, then we should all pray. That'll be Mr. Huggins. Would you show me?
Of course. Come in, Mr. Huggins.
Thank you, Mary. You can go to your lessons now. Anna, my friend, I can't tell you how much I appreciate your help yet again.
Firstly, what news is there of your wife?
The physician tells me she will be there for many months yet. In fact, she may not recover, as she's tried to harm herself and been violent towards the other patients.
Have you visited her?
Yes, but it's an unpleasant duty. She has no understanding of her situation.
Does she realize that you are not under the auspices of the hospital? She would have gone to trial and would surely now be in jail.
No, she realises nothing. Her mind is totally deranged with resentment. However, today we're here to deal with Mr. Geoffrey Franklin.
Indeed. I must admit I'm a little curious to meet someone who would want to see a family man hang when it's within his power to prevent such action.
He has an intense hatred of all the convicts working out their time here. Would see them all hanged.
Yeah, Franklin's complaint is valid. Thomas Carter was caught trespassing and stealing, and for a convict, even one on his ticket of leave, that crime is punishable by death. Our aim today is to get Mr. Franklin to retract his intention to prosecute. That's all we need to get your man out of his cell.
Mr. Franklin, sir, he says you sent for him?
Yes, I did. Come in, Mr. Franklin.
I hope this won't take long. I'm a busy man.
I hope so too. Thank you for your time.
Ah,
Do you know Mr.
Huggins,
Mr. Franklin?
let's not beat about the bush. I know why you've asked me here. You want me to drop the charges against your man Carter, am I right?
Mr. Franklin, you must be sure that you are accusing the right man.
The right man? Of course he's the right man. Didn't I see him and stop him myself?
That's all right, Amos. You can go back to your work now.
Are you one of Chapman's convicts?
I'm on particular leave, so Tommy Carter won't be free men soon. If you let him off.
Amos, get back to the sheds. I'll talk to you later.
Sir,
Amos, go!
So I was right. This is what your kind invitation was. Asking me here to drop the charges against the man for a crime he committed on my land.
Please, sit down. Let me get you some ale. Amos, ask cook to give you some ale for Mr. Franklin, then get back to the shed. Someone else can bring it.
I don't want your hospitality, Chapman. And what's the magistrate doing here?
Just a social visit like you.
Well,
No more, no less.
if you think for one moment that I'm going to drop the charges against that thieving convict, Mr. Magistrate, you are very much mistaken. I don't hold with this trumped-up convict scheme. They're a bad lot. The badness is in them all, can't be stopped. Hang them all, I say.
You have no compassion for a family man, a husband and a father.
Compassion? I don't have to stand here and listen to that nonsense. Your man deserves to hang. I'll be keeping an eye on that other one. What did you call him? Amos. Yes, I'll be keeping an eye on him too. But they're all the same. They're all the same, just half-witted thieves. But, careful, man. You're a convict too?
Ex-convict? Yes, sir, Mr. Franklin, sir. But I kept my nose clean now with Mr. Chapman for 7 years, and I'm free. Ain't that right?
Indeed you are.
Cook said Amos said you wanted some ale, sir.
One of your convicts that does house duties too, eh? And with your young daughter in the house?
I ain't a convict no more, sir. I'm a free man. Done you time?
A liar as well as a thief. Well, don't you worry, I'll be watching out for you too.
And I ain't no liar, sir.
Jed, you can get back to the sheds now.
That man a lunatic? Can't speak 2 words together without mumbling.
As he said, he's a free man now, and one point serious.
Huggins, Chapman, I don't stand with this convict employment. We don't need the dregs of old England to settle this new country. I came here as a free settler. I'm proud to say that I built a home and a business on my own land by my own sweat and toil. The fewer convicts I see, the better. Bad enough we have to deal with the blacks. Well, if there's nothing else, I've got to be getting back. I've got no time to waste.
Before you go, just one thing. When you found Mr. Carter on your property, did you put your boot in his back while he was down?
Well, what if I did? He was stealing my livestock.
You found him yourself and the troopers were not there?
Oh, well, I had to restrain him while the troopers were still coming. I was waiting for the troopers.
If you put your boot in his back while he was down on the ground and that he was not resisting lawful arrest at the time, and looking at the bruising on his back...
Bruising? What bruising? What lies is he telling now?
I saw the bruise.
And looking at the bruising on his back, it could be said that you assaulted him, causing him injury and unnecessary pain.
He was thieving! Would I invite him in for a nightcap?
If you put your boot in his back while he was down on the ground and he was not resisting lawful arrest...
What? Is a convict, for God's sake, stealing my livestock? Oh, this is incredible! You call yourself a magistrate. Has the law gone soft?
I know the law, Mr. Franklin, and he's innocent until proven guilty.
Well, I've got witnesses. Your man will hang. Oh, don't waste my time.
Now,
I'll see
Mr.
you in
Franklin,
court.
before you go, I must ask you one more time. The man you found on your property, was that Mr. Carter, a convict shearer from this station?
How many times? It was him without a doubt.
And are you sure that he was taking the ram from your property?
He had a rope around its neck, outside its enclosure. What else would he be doing but taking it?
This, Mr. Franklin, is a signed statement witnessed by me, by Mr. Isaac Jackman, a convict shearer from this station. Mr. Jackman confesses fully to stealing the ram from your property on the night in question, and he states here that Thomas Carter was indeed returning the animal to its rightful place when he was attacked by you and your men and apprehended before being given a chance to say his piece.
Returning it? No. What sort of cock and bull story is this? And who is this, Jackman, did you say? Another one of your thieving convicts, eh, Chapman? I'd like to have a word with him.
Unfortunately, Mr. Jackman wrote this confession as a dying man. I listened to his story and assessed that his injuries would ensure that he would not survive without the medical attention that he can ill afford. He was most passionate that Thomas Carter should not hang unfairly. Now, I have the witness confession of this dying man right here, and I will present this to court in Carter's defense if you insist on this prosecution.
You're all in this together, you're as bad as one another. Oh, how do I know that that is a legal document?
My position and reputation depend on the integrity of this statement. I know the law, and a dying man's confession holds fast in court.
Father, cook said I can stay and help with supper. We finished our lessons.
Your daughter, eh? Aren't you ashamed, Chapman, be bringing her up in a world of thieves and liars?
Yes, of course. Thank you, Mary.
When's Tommy coming home?
Young lady, your friend, Mr. Thomas Carter, is a thief, and he needs to learn his lesson.
We were learning our lessons together. Sir.
Now, I have a form here from Chief Justice Forbes, which you can sign to state that you no longer wish to proceed with your prosecution.
Oh!
If you sign forthwith, there will be no mention of the assault on Mr. Carter. I can take this to court and present it and say that you were mistaken and that you no longer wish to proceed with your prosecution.
Mistaken? I know what I saw!
On the other hand, if you proceed with your action, I will present Mr. Isaac Jackman's dying confession to the court, which will prove that you were mistaken.
Oh, Mr. Magistrate, you have me cornered. Here, give me that form. I'll sign it. Yes, I'll sign it. I'll let your thieving crook off this time. But I warn you, once a thief, always a thief. And if I see one of your men, convict men, within a mile of my place, you'll be wondering why there's no shearing being done. Because they'll all be hanging from the branch of that gum tree, and I'll be doing the hoisting myself.
You have my word that none of my men will go anywhere near your property.
Well, just make sure of it.
Mr. Franklin, wait. Let me explain. I know the sheep farmer in New Zealand, and Mr. Bob Robinson. He's a world-class breeder.
Bob Robinson, you know him.
Yes, I do. Do you?
Well, yes, every sheep farmer knows Robinson and his Corriedale breed.
Then you must know he's become a very wealthy man.
Yes, I know that. And?
Mr. Robinson wrote me a while back with offers of assistance and advice to develop the new breed in Australia. We can both prosper by the success of this new breed.
With your merinos?
Yes, they're a fine and healthy herd, and your Lincoln rank.
And you've had correspondence from Robinson?
I have his letter in my office.
Well, everyone knows that the Corriedale breed is far superior to either of our individual breeds, but the thought of working with you doesn't exactly appeal to me. And besides, I'm not in a business mood.
I understand what you're saying, and I regret all this, but there might be a fortune to be shared between us.
A fortune, you say? Yes, yes. My fortune is my business.
Of course, and the business would be divided fairly under a lawful agreement.
Well, if our relationship was to be strictly business, and the contract was binding, and I don't have to see any of your convict thieves, well then...
As you wish, that would be part of the agreement.
Yes, and I'd want to see Robertson's letter.
Of course.
I'll sleep on it.
What do you think, Adam?
I don't know. He's a difficult man. But this piece of paper, we've achieved our aim today, and Thomas Carter can be released from his cell.
I can't thank you enough. Will you stay for a drink? We can raise a glass to young Thomas's future.
Gladly.
Amos, ask the cook for some ale and call them in. We're celebrating Thomas's release.
Hold that end up higher, Jeff. Tommy's going to see it first off when he comes in.
Wonder if they shaved his head.
Nah, he never gets caught, remember?
There are some tales to tell, no doubt. We'll never shut him up.
I wonder what he says to his God these days. And what'd you do that for, God? He'd almost had me up there with you.
Morning, sir. How do we look? Is all that stone white, Miss Mary?
Looks just fine to me. Oh, will it be long, Father?
Not much longer, I hope. So who's going to give him the good news?
I have the letter here.
Well, it won't be me or Jed. We'd be here all night if we was to read it.
Speak for yourself, Amos.
I do. And for you too. Just stand up a bit, it's crooked.
You're crooked.
Well, it looks straight enough to me.
See?
Jake, would you go out and see if the horses are coming?
Father, may I read the letter to Thomas?
By all means.
Whoever reads this will be a happy messenger.
I can see the horses coming, Mr. Chapman. They'll be here within minutes.
Quickly, let's all get ready. I will stand here. Well, no, perhaps we shall hide. Quickly, let's all get ready.
Well, will you look at this?
Good to have you back, Thomas. Was it a surprise to see Isaac?
A surprise, the best ever. Thank the Lord he's fits enough for me to thank him over and over again.
We thought you was dead, Isaac.
I've been using your shears. Thought you wouldn't need them.
You know, I really did think I was dying. I thought there was no hope. But then Mr. Huggins, he still is searching to see me. And you can see what he did.
Cut it off, did he?
It's really good to see you, Isaac.
So you ain't got an arm inside that sleeve?
That means he's harmless.
And it's good to see you again.
Are you going to be able to shear? Do you want your shears back?
I'm putting Isaac in charge of the shed, so you've got to watch how you speak to him.
I feel like I've come home to my family. Mr. Chapman, I'm sorry to hear about Mrs. Chapman. Will she be home anytime soon?
Not soon, if at all. She's got a lot of healing to do. What she did was cruel, and I appreciate your thoughts. But now, Mary has a letter with news from England to read to you.
Different than the other news I got from England.
Yes, this is real.
Shall I start?
Let's all sit down. Amos, Jeff.
Dear Mr. Chapman, this letter confirms that the Rosalind... That the...
What? Have a look, please, Isaac.
Hurry up.
Mr. Chapman, there's a big old round out to your back door. And I saw Mr. Franklin going back up the hill.
Well, blow me down, he has dropped off the finest looking Lincoln ram I've ever seen. Did you see it, Isaac?
I did, sir. You look like a good worker to me.
Them ladies sheep like him, no doubt.
There was a note attached. Ready to talk business. JF. I'll ride up there tomorrow to see him, but for now...
Shall I continue?
Please, Miss Mary, the suspense is killing me.
All right. Dear Mr. Chapman, this letter confirms that the master in charge of the Rosalind Castle ship, which is licensed to carry female convicts from England to Australia, has given permission for one Mrs. Isabel Carter, her son, her daughter, and a dog to travel under the family reunion scheme to live with her husband Thomas on the understanding that his ticket of leave has been granted, and he remains in your employ until his release from convict service.
Oh, that's great news, Tommy.
Oh my word, my whole family and me dog, Lord be praised. How long? When?
At least by the end of June, your whole family should be with you.
Oh, my whole family. Now, me lad, he's got to be 7, maybe closer to 8, so my little girl must be 4, closer to 5. She said we got a little girl, didn't you, Miss Mary? Oh, this will be my first sighting of her. I wonder what she'll think of her dad.
And will they attend lessons with you and me? Or will they, Father?
I hope she's got the likeness of your wife, Tommy. She won't look good with your face.
I have to agree with you, Jed. Oh, this is all too much.
We better get back to the shed, sir. Tommy, it's good to see you safe. And good to see you too, Isaac.
I'll come with you and eat something in your hands.
Isaac,
Welcome home.
thank you. Isaac, I'll never forget what you offered to do for me. You're a real brave man. No one's ever put their life up for me before.
Lord love us, will you look at that ram?
I too must be gone. Good luck, Mr. Carter. Next time we meet will be in the winter months when even Mrs. Carter will be here. I look forward to knowing your family.
Likewise, Mr. Huggins. I only ever met a magistrate in the court before. Thank you, Andrew. Well, we look at us now, eh? Strange happenings these past times, but the future's looking rosy for the Carters. Hello, God. It's me again. Well, you led me a merry dance, and I don't rightly know what to say, but I feel as though I'm back where I should be. I remember a hymn that goes, God moves in a mysterious way, something to something. Well, this is mysterious to say the least. God, please look after my Bella and the Lilians, them female ships are not nice to travel on. And what's all this with the ram? Have you made Mr. Franklin a nice man after all? Thank you, and good night from Thomas Penfold Carter.